This is the 40 Days for Life podcast with your host, Sean Carney.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today on the 40 Days for Life podcast. I'm Sean Carney, the president of 40 Days for Life, and your host for this podcast, which is dedicated to helping you end abortion where you live. Your questions. That is the topic of today. We will answer them. If we don't know the answer, we will, of course, make one up. And so we are looking forward to doing that. We will get through all of your questions. Somebody who has made up a lot of stuff for a very, very long time is my co-host, Mr. Steve Carlin.
But it's all based on a true story.
No, the thing now is inspired by a true story. Which brings us to a very controversial topic. Over the last few months, we learned that you did see the Michael Jackson movie.
Yes.
And I saw the Michael Jackson movie. And Steve, who had a garage band, you did not see it.
Not only did I not see it, but you invited me to it, and I said no.
I actually forgot about that. Well, you didn't say no. You said you said I don't like. We had a lot of work to do, and for some reason, I was trying to get you to go to the movies, and then realized you should probably go to work.
It would have been exceptionally self-serving if I'd said, you invited me, but I was too dedicated to my craft to take you up on something so frivolous as a film.
Maybe you were behind, and maybe you should manage your time better. But yeah. So you liked it.
I did. I liked the music. I liked.
Well, that was the
obviously
whole movie because they based it
because
on.
he didn't sing, and I didn't know if it was going to play the actual music from Michael Jackson or if it was going to be him singing it. The nephew.
The nephew plays him. Didn't he sing it?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I don't think so.
Is it a musical?
No. It's
no,
not a
but
musical.
it darn near feels like one because they were smart. There's none of the crazy Michael Jackson stuff in it.
Right.
And
I mean, there's crazy stuff.
There's crazy stuff, and why his dad called him Big Nose, and so he's always insecure about his nose. And they start to show how he's going in for these surgeries, and I thought they actually handled that pretty well. But it starts when he's like 5 years old, and of course his dad was very abusive and all this stuff. But they went in and allowed the music to dictate the movie.
Right. And I just thought that the fact that his nephew in real life played him, I thought he did a great job. He obviously
phenomenal.
learned how to dance like him. He worked with a vocal coach for 2 years to talk like him, the cadence, the high pitch, all that. So I thought all of that was really fascinating. And then like my little godson that was watching it with me, he said, wait a minute, is that really Michael Jackson? Because it was the parts where they started showing him wearing eyeliner. And it was like,
it looked like him.
Just like him. So,
And they did the Thriller scene in the same place they actually filmed the Thriller video.
Okay.
We're pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're just the music guy. That's why I'm highlighting you.
No, I'm deficient on this one. I will say my favorite Michael Jackson song is Man in the Mirror, and the music video features Mother Teresa.
Ah, I did not know this.
I'm asking him to change his way. Anyways, great song.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get into that. Dun 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 dun. It's everything. It was well done. Anyway, I don't know how we were talking about that during lunch, and so
Yes.
we're now off the Michael
I
Jackson.
got a little listener feedback if we want.
Let's have
Before
it.
we get to the listener questions, this comes from Kathy. Just finished listening to the podcast right before dinner, and now you've made me have a huge craving for barbecue. My husband's going to be very happy when he gets home because I'm running out to our favorite barbecue joint and bringing some takeout home. But seriously, I do love your podcast. I really enjoy all of them. I learn lots of things, and you guys are also so good at your banter.
Oh!
Uh-oh,
Pro
pro
banter
banter.
feedback. Take that, anti-banter bigots.
Thank you for making these. Have a great day. God bless. And just to be clear, I'm with Sean. No vinegar barbecue for me.
Ooh.
What was her name?
Kathy.
Kathy. You are the listener of the week, which comes with nothing. Wonderful.
Status.
Awesome.
It comes with status.
That was fantastic.
Clout.
Is that the only feedback we have? It's
the only
I'm
feedback
going
that
to
matters.
get. What do we inspire people to do? End abortion? No. Run out and get barbecue for their husbands. Oh, that was
It's
awesome.
contributing to family life. We've talked about the crisis of the family, and this is going to be a
Way
very happy...
to connect the dots,
The
Steve.
good thing about you is
You're
when we
welcome.
had that barbecue discussion, you just owned it. You were like, I like vinegar. And you did a kind of a foodie thing where you're like, I like, what did you say? Something, you didn't say bold, but you talked about mustard and vinegar and
Pickles and buffalo sauce.
Yeah, and all that. And when you said that, I was like, he's got a good point because I like all those things, but I don't like the North Carolina vinegar pulled pork.
You're a Christian nationalist, but for barbecue.
I am. Here's the other thing, and this is where the Carolina barbecue people and Virginia barbecue people need to quit saying this. They think it's some big, bold thing. And a guy said it to me a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, that's not the point. They're like, the problem with Texas barbecue is you use the wrong animal. Okay, because North Carolina, they eat a lot of pig. We eat it all. Like pulled pork in Texas is 50 times better than that garbage that they're serving. But they think it's like, that's the difference. It's like, we all eat a lot of beef and we eat, it's like, no, we have pork ribs. We have pulled pork.
Yes.
We also have brisket.
Pork sliders.
Yeah.
I think it would be more fun if I were going to disagree with you, but I can't. Because pork is great. Pulled pork is great. Pork ribs are great. All of it's great. But you got a pig versus cow. You're just not winning that argument.
Right.
The cow is going to win.
I agree.
every time.
No, even if it was a cultural, which
Yeah.
it's not, but even if that was the case, cow is 50 times better than pork. And I love pork.
And who else agrees is the free market.
The free market agrees with that. And if you're gonna, let's say you get two meats, okay, at a barbecue place, you're going ribs and brisket. Those are just like, if you've got to have those because those are essential. And preferably if they have it, a beef rib, but that's very rare. In order to be a top 50 Texas barbecue place, you have to do a beef rib.
Okay.
Which is why Rudy's would never make it because they don't do a beef rib. Have you ever had a beef rib, the caveman rib?
I had one. You took me somewhere one time.
Yeah, we had it at Corkscrew.
Okay.
You had a beef rib?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're great. So, plus it looks, you feel like a wild animal eating it. It's fantastic because it looks like you just killed a bear or something and you're eating it.
The other thing I like about Texas barbecue is their soft drink options are wild. You know, I'm a big soda guy. I like my grape soda. I like my Dr. Pepper. I like all of that. And you go to a Texas barbecue place and it's not like, do you want Coke or do you want Pepsi? It's like, do you want like purple? Do you want red? Do you want big red? Do you want, there's like a million things you've never seen them before. You think they probably made them in a bathtub somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's still awesome.
I didn't even realize that about Texas until you pointed it out to me years ago.
And it's all umbrellaed under the category Coke.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all Coke.
It's like clip art that someone downloaded from Microsoft in 1995 is the logo of the soda.
Is the
Like,
logo,
here's
yeah.
a barrel. This is our root beer.
I don't like that trend where they're starting to make their own sodas and I don't like weird stuff, like weird sodas like you. I want like Diet Dr. Pepper, Coke Zero, like just keep it simple. Root beer is everywhere in Texas.
Yeah.
Do you like root beer?
I do like root beer.
I don't like root beer.
Root beer floats,
Yeah.
childhood, big
Yeah.
childhood.
No. it's
Now
good.
there's a trend. I don't know what it is yet, and I should, given my enthusiasm for drinking soda. But it'd be like a dirty soda. Have you heard this?
A dirty,
You can
like
get
a dirty
You
martini?
can get like a Mountain Dew dirty.
Okay, I don't
I
like
don't know
Mountain
what
Dew
it is.
anyway, so those
They
would
put
both
like
suck.
vodka in it.
No, I don't. I don't know. I do not know.
Well, dirty, a dirty martini is olive juice. That's what makes a martini dirty.
Yeah,
Are they putting olive juice in the Mountain Dew?
that's what I'm saying.
That
Like,
would be
what
quite-
makes it dirty?
I don't know.
You don't
I was
know?
hoping you guys would know. One of
Well,
life's mysteries.
Maybe
sir.
someone will write in and tell.
Kathy, go back to your barbecue place with your husband and find out what a dirty soda
Do we
is.
know where Kathy lived?
Georgia.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, if I said Washington State, you were gonna demand we re-record.
No. I think it's better if she's from Seattle.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what kind of barbecue. She's probably all the major cities are going to have somebody there
Sure.
who can do some decent barbecue. But There is barbecue now on Times Square. Did you see that last time you were in New York?
No.
It's a big place. I'm not going to go to New York and eat barbecue.
No.
But it's probably good.
No, you go and you get this big slice of pizza in New York.
Yeah,
you do.
everything is good. The best food in the world. All right, let's get to our questions.
All right. This
See
one.
how I'm moving us along, Heather?
I'm proud of you.
Very proud.
No, I didn't get introduced this time, but it's fine.
Heather's here. Now we can start.
The YouTube commentariat is going to enjoy that one. Sister Emiliana, how could anyone possibly know how many chemical abortions there are? How could they even make a reliable estimate? If it is based on how many pills are sold, that would be greatly exaggerated. Governor Newsom of California stockpiled many ahead of time. Since then, I've read of others doing the same thing. Planned Parenthood is telling girls and women to order them so they have them when they need them. And we know that there have been at least 8,000 that have been reversed and successfully saved the lives of the baby. Please address this. The number and the percentage of chemical abortions I believe to be highly exaggerated, and this gives fuel to pro-abortionists and can be demoralizing to pro-lifers.
That's one of the best emails we've gotten on this topic. Thank you, sister. You're right.
I'm going to pause.
What?
If this is the Sister Emiliana, I think it is.
You know more than one?
She's, I'm just saying, there's probably more than one.
Okay.
I have one. I have one. This would be my cousin if this is the one I think it is. I have a
You have a cousin who's a sister.
first cousin to my grandmother.
And then you think that there is another Emiliana, sister
Of
Emiliana.
course.
Okay.
But maybe not.
But you're saying that like it's
Is this a name you've never heard before?
You're saying it like it's Sister Elizabeth Marie.
Okay.
I'm
I
just
have
saying,
not heard this name before.
Okay.
it's
Well, then
beautiful.
this is my cousin.
Isn't
So
it
hi,
after,
sister.
Is it after Saint Amelia?
Oh, I don't know. Actually,
It's hard because Amelia was also the name of John Paul II's mom.
Oh.
And so that it kind of became popular through that. A lot of
Okay.
Amelias started
Spell
popping
with an E or an A?
up. Either one. I've
Okay.
seen it both.
Well, either way, continue with the story.
So, sister Heather's cousin, you are 100% right. And this is our point that we've said is they've stockpiled these abortions. They fabricate the numbers. What sister said that's so good is it's to give them pep in their step, and
Yes.
confidence, which is exactly what they did. And I mentioned on the podcast when they legalized abortion. And all the old school pro-lifers say, this is the same garbage they did. We've done 60,000 back alley abortions. We've got to have abortion. And they inflate the numbers to normalize the surgery. Well, her first question, hey, how do we know how many women get abortions through the pills? Is we don't. We don't because of the mail order. Now, at our 40 Days campaigns in front of the brick and mortars, we do, right? Because we can sort of track that. You have an idea for the chemical abortions. But otherwise, we don't have a clue. And these morons that run around and say there's 10 million abortions a week because of the pills, it's just not true. We also, I think that this is degrading to women who are seeking abortion because the abortion pills have basically said that women have zero hesitation. They long for easy access to abortion. This is why they live and wake up every day. And if you give them the pills, boy, they're going to pop them quicker than, I won't say it, but they're going to take them. And that's just not true. I think there's a lot of stigma around abortion pills. We know the word of mouth is terrible, even from the current Planned Parenthood workers who we constantly hear about them talking women out of getting the abortion pills because of the painful process. It's just not, it's not a Tylenol. It's not a get out of jail free pill. And to say that women should have, 50 packs of these in their bathroom is insane and degrading.
What's great about, we've done a number of these Q&A episodes before, and normally with these questions, we provide a great deal of illumination and very sophisticated information. This one, our answer is just, you're exactly right.
You're exactly right.
I think one of the most important things here, too, is not just the point about how do we even know, how can we even track it, but this is fuel to pro-abortionists and can be demoralizing to pro-lifers. She's recognizing the agenda behind it and the actual harm that is causing the pro-life movement just simply because we buy the narrative that's being, like, we don't believe Planned Parenthood on anything else, right? Any other statistic, pro-lifers like, but they're lying. You know, there's cases where you've got a Planned Parenthood that doesn't do abortions, like, but I know they're lying about it. And suddenly here on this topic, when here's our abortion numbers, we believe them. I don't think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And just like we call them out when we know Planned Parenthood has to act like they love that abortion pills are supplied through CVS and Walgreens and all these other places. They're not. They don't want that. They want all the market.
This would probably be, for a lot of the people who are wondering this same thing, this would be a response to the claim we've had several times here before, which is most abortion pills are still happening in brick and mortar facilities, not through mail order. So this challenges that.
No.
If we don't know. If we have no way of knowing.
We know through the brick and mortar. We have a better idea through the brick and mortar at any given campaign. But the mail order, how many are being shipped through the mail, is a mystery.
Right. And I think actually, Heather, I don't think what you're saying is accurate, because the statistic that we're getting from the abortion industry is that 73% are still through brick and mortar, leaving 27% that would be mail order, telehealth, no in-person visits. And so that means really at most, if we don't know how many of those pills being shipped through the mail are being used, the brick and mortar ones could be much higher than 73%.
This is a stat from the abortion facility that's saying 73% of the abortion.
I think it's Guttmacher.
From Guttmacher. Okay. That's interesting.
Which Guttmacher we have put a fair amount of trust in over the years.
Yeah, we have.
They hate us. And they're the research arm of Planned Parenthood.
But they also have statistics about population control that are just blatantly false.
Well, they put out things that are false, and they put out things that are true.
Right.
This I believe to be true. Not for any agenda, but just usually on the abortion statistics, they're not the ones fudging the numbers.
The framing is the issue. Like if Guttmacher says 27% are done through the mail, I'll believe that. But we need to think about what are they actually saying. And this is where Sister Emiliana's questions come through. Like, of those through the mail, how many of them are actually taken? That's the information we don't know. I believe the 27%. I just don't know, are they being used? Are they being reversed? Are they being stockpiled? There's a lot that we don't know about it. I just think that the data is incomplete, and I think they frame it in a way that makes the pro-abortion side, whatever their agenda is, it's framed to that end.
There's also the narrative that can't be argued with and is dumb, I think. And that's, doesn't matter, they're all shipping them in illegally in all these pro-life states.
Right.
And you're like, okay, like that is happening. But I really defend Texas on this because we prosecute. And when you prosecute the doctors who prescribe them here or prescribe them and ship them in, or the woman who receives it, or the boyfriend who, now he's on death row for putting it in his girlfriend's old fashioned,
that's unfortunate.
If you enforce the law, that she was drinking an old fashioned?
Yeah, and then you ruin it with abortion.
Oh, yeah, pro-aborts ruin everything, even great Southern cocktails. But that...
Sorry, I got hung up on.
You
totally
got hung up on the... That's what she
totally
did.
inappropriate.
I think it was a Billy Bob's. I think it was in Fort Worth. But he's on death row. Okay, or being charged with capital murder.
Yeah.
And when you enforce it, it really works. And I think that's another inflated, like, people say to me, abortions have not gone down in Texas. I'm like, they haven't. No.
But our birth rate has gone up.
Our birth rate's gone up somehow. They're all shipping in these illegal abortion pills.
Yes, they are.
And they say, you don't know how many they're shipping in.
True.
And I was like, true. Neither do you.
Right.
You're saying it's 1 billion. I'm saying it's probably a few hundred a year.
That's why it's not helpful, going back to demoralizing pro-lifers. It's not helpful when we continue those things that cannot be confirmed. So we can say, yeah, there's all these abortion pills being shipped in, but we cannot say there is X amount of abortions happening through the abortion pill. Like, we have to be careful with the language that we use. Mm-hmm. And even though we have no idea how many abortion pills are being shipped illegally, into the state of Texas, for instance, or the other states that have outlawed the abortion pill. That is not the same thing as people taking them, as we've already said. And so we have to make it a point when we're speaking about that to clarify that in our language, because otherwise, there's no hope. We can't do anything. Abortion pills, that's just it.
It's depressing.
Yeah. And that's, that's.
And it's not that we want to have pie in the sky and put our head in the sand.
No,
we don't want any bad news.
No.
It's that you're suggesting bad news that's not real.
Sure. Yeah.
And that to me is a problem. I also have another market point, which is I think that the desire for abortion went down post-Roe. I think Gen Z is the most pro-life for their age. Not I think, but we know they are. And the travel abortion market, everybody's going to be getting on the trains and the airplanes and going to Newsom's house for their abortion. And it just didn't happen with the numbers they said it would happen. That's market driven. That is what, if you're a woman in South Carolina or Texas or Alabama, what level will you go to get an abortion if you want one? And that level is not as high as they told us it was going to be. And if you're not willing to drive up to Ohio for your abortion, you're willing to illegally have pills shipped to your house?
There's an element here, too, of like, hey, did you guys know that the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment did not end slavery? There's trafficking. There's labor trafficking. There's sex trafficking.
It's so true.
There's pirates somewhere. I don't know, but there's still, like, pirates are still there.
The problem with that is that people say that slavery hasn't ended because of the NFL draft. The
NFL draft,
the wackos who said the NFL draft is just like the slave trade. It's like, with like $14 million a year contracts and you know cool commercials and
oh my gosh.
Anyways,
that's a stretch.
But I know what you're saying. That the refusal to win, and it's a very odd thing. So, anyways, great point, sister. And question: is this really your second cousin?
Very possibly. Shout out to the sisters in Victoria, Texas at the.
They're in Victoria. Okay, we love them.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Second question today comes from Andre, who is perhaps, if not the single most, one of our most dedicated YouTube commenters. So shout out to
Andre Reed
from the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Of course, you gotta ask.
Not
83.
as far as I know.
No.
You know, it's like the thing
Andre Reed would never listen to this podcast because he's mad about the 2 Cowboys Super Bowl losses.
Yeah, he turned it off back in season 3. Yeah.
Okay.
At least he couldn't even. I got some esoteric football jokes. I'm gonna skip them.
I don't want you to, but I know we have to give Andre, possibly Reed, respect.
He says, I understand that natural family planning is a method of contraception, though natural. If it is designed to help prevent people from having children, how is it different than the birth control pill?
Well, number one, it's natural versus... Well, so his question is, can you abuse or misuse NFP? The answer is yes. Just like you can misuse mass or confession or whatever. So... that's the question, and the answer is yes. But the whole how is taking pills to manipulate human biology different than following normal natural cycles that a woman's body goes through? That just answers itself.
Yeah, it's what you're not...
Not to mention preventing implantation and being an abortifacient. NFP is not an abortifacient. That's a sort of simple point. And
abstinence is not changing the nature of the sexual act at all, right?
Right.
Whereas contraception of any form, whether it's a pill,
100%
does. I think it's like a difference of like, what's the difference between fasting and bulimia? I think that would be a reasonable comparison to make.
That is a great one. And there's another analogy
Sorry, I don't want to cut you off. Andre, by the way, is asking a good question.
Yes. This is a lot of people's thought.
However, there's a crowd out there. And they're nuts.
Who says it is?
Who says NFP is contraception?
Yeah.
And you're all crazy, and I don't have I don't have the time. Like, it's just like the angry fill in the blank crowd.
Yeah.
Of just like, there's no good in the world.
Edgelords, I believe they are called. You talk about rage baiting. These are the edgelords.
Edgelord.
We're going to take it to the extreme. We're going to go to the edge.
Is that like a early 90s alternative band? That's what it sounds like. It's the woke right. That's what I would say. Okay, go ahead. That's not his point.
No. And okay, so there's an analogy. It's easily confused. So I'm going to try to speak
So this
clearly
is using
and articulately.
NFP to avoid pregnancy.
Is the same thing as contraception. To
Yeah,
some
people. It's the same thing.
Okay. So, let's say, do you remember the analogy about the hunter and the movement in the bush, and then you shoot versus you don't shoot? It could be an animal or it could be a person, right? Okay. Same kind of analogy here, but this is a wedding, inviting to a wedding. So you could look at the NFP thing versus contraception this way. Let's say that you are invited to a wedding and you show up. The analogy, the equivalent is NFP is inviting. So you're inviting a child into your life, and then you conceive a child, and the child shows. Okay. But then you could also have where you invite someone to a wedding and they don't show, which could be infertility. So you're trying for a baby, you're using NFP. NFP can be used both to achieve a pregnancy and postpone a pregnancy, right? So in this case, NFP is the wedding invitation and the person doesn't show. Okay, but then you could have a scenario where you don't invite, which is you could use NFP where you're just not and you're not inviting the person at that moment. But if they show, you're still happy. You're still fine with it because you were open to that life potentially, but you weren't intentionally trying to bring them. Then you have the fourth part where you don't invite and they don't show. So you use NFP to postpone a pregnancy and the person did not show, or to not invite the person to the wedding. Contraception is like sending a message to the person, do not come to this wedding. Not only am I not inviting you, I am telling you not to come.
But here's a link to our Amazon registry.
That's a great analogy.
And so then what happens when the baby shows or the person shows up to the wedding that you told not to come?
I think too, the blanket, like, it's the same, is it just takes out a lot of factors that couples can go through.
Yes.
Like an older woman who is told by her doctor, like a good NFP doctor, you can't get pregnant again.
Yes.
You'll be in danger. You need to avoid it. There's just other health reasons that come up. And I don't know. To me, it's a mixed bag of people. The people yelling about that aren't married. And the people that say NFP is great and it works have 8 kids like I do. And so
I know several couples who have bragged about how well it works that are not pregnant. So.
Okay, good. That's good. But we didn't really use NFP a lot, obviously, because it was we
not obviously. See, you can use it to achieve pregnancy.
Exactly. Oh, see. And we didn't have to do that. Mary Lisa was pretty fertile, but
you didn't have to worry.
No, it was funny because early on in our marriage, she thought she was having some fertility issues, and we thought she was paranoid she's going to be infertile, and of course then I was nervous and all that stuff, and then we had 3 kids in 3 years. The first time we'd had 3 kids in 3 years, but NFP's a good thing. I don't. Can you misuse it? Yes, but this is...
Well, you can have a contraceptive mentality.
Contraceptive mentality where you're closed to life. I just don't think most people on NFP are actually closed to life.
And that's subjective, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing intrinsically disordered about it. This is like the Christopher West thing where he's kind of like, so you just think everybody should have to have 100 babies? Like, no, there's moral ways to not have babies, and then he kind of like looks across, scans the room, like, as far as I can tell, you're all doing it
right now.
Like,
my favorite thing.
Abstinent, like, we might rephrase. I think Andre's question is a good one, but we might rephrase it to say, is abstinence different from the birth control pill? And we all would say yes, because we're all. I hope everybody watching right now is at this moment practicing.
Let's hope.
I don't think the 40 Days for Life podcast is like a romantic mood setter.
Well,
I could be wrong, but yeah, it's
There are some weird people out there.
Here's
because I didn't wear my Brat Patrol shirt.
I like talking about stuff like this, and I like questions like this. I'm going after this other crowd because
Yeah.
it's very similar to when Pope Francis kind of banned the Latin Mass and kind of was picking on the Latin Masters. Okay, now we're getting.
I'm very curious to see where we're going here.
Yeah. And so is John the Baptist. He goes to the Latin Mass. He don't know what the heck's going on. So, this is the problem with the church today. These little group of faithful people, many of whom are young, who want to go to the Tridentine Mass. This is the problem,
Who are
and
using NFP.
I think we do. I mean, it is. You just take us because we're Catholic, okay? And Protestants love hearing about the drama of Catholicism, but okay, there was a time the church was in triage, okay, in like 2002, okay, and then we learned they didn't fix a thing. They were doing cover-ups, and it was a total joke in 2018, and you look at the growth of Catholicism, particularly in the South, okay, and the increase in faith, despite ludicrous, scandalous leadership from the examples of the scandals with the U.S. bishops. And, you know, for a while, a pope that we really didn't know what he was talking about half the time, respectfully. And yet the faith got stronger. And more people became Catholic, and more people knew their faith. More people prayed. You have things like the Hallow app. You have things like the Augustine Institute and EWTN and Ignatius Press and all these Bishop Barron and all these things that evangelize people. And abuse of NFP is just not an issue right now in the Catholic Church. I mean, we have our demons, we have our problems, and that's. The Latin Masters are not the problem. The NFP crowd's not the problem. And I think looking at these things from, you know, a 50,000-foot view is kind of important. There's been, and you and I have been part of it, I think, and certainly seen it, a very healthy reform of Catholic education and Catholic schools. And there's just a lot of good going on and a lot of reform. And look at all these young priests and young bishops and, you know, I think next year we're going to ordain 9 new priests in our archdiocese, which in 1 year is huge. You know, there's just a lot of vocations, and I don't like the militant. Like, we're going to pick on a little fraction of the super faithful and tell them that they're wrong.
This is a problem with everybody knows social media is a terrible development for humanity, but this is where we really see whether you're saying, like, actually Roe v. Wade being overturned was a good thing. Actually, we don't know that the number of abortion pills is gone through the roof. Actually, we don't know that all these pills are being shipped in illegally. Actually, NFP being used for illicit purposes is not a problem. That doesn't get clicks. I think a lot of it comes down to clicks.
I do too.
And the monetization of social media.
I do too. And I think social media has been really bad for things like this, where you have these kind of movements, and it's within the pro-life movement too. Lock them up. The woman thought of having an abortion. Let's give her the electric chair. But I think that the internet, when you're looking at the Catholic stuff,
good distinction.
The internet has been fantastic for Catholicism, particularly where, you know, growing up in the South, because it was this mystical thing where it's like, man, they worship a piece of bread and Mary and all that other freaky stuff. And then you can Google it. You can or you meet your Catholic friends or whatever. And you're like, I don't know what y'all believe, you know, but you can Google it and you get solid apologetics that you may not agree with, right? You may be like, no, you don't need all that crap. You need to read the Bible and accept Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior and move on and get rid of all this decorum.
Tradition and
But you at least get an explanation. You at least get
you can engage the best arguments on both sides.
Absolutely. You're going to get Bishop Barron. You're going to get Father Mike Schmidt. It's so funny because I literally know more Protestants that listen to Father Mike Schmidt than Catholics, I think. And I love him.
Well,
I think he's great.
We had Katie, who was living a transgender life on this podcast. Like, yeah, I was listening to Father
Mike Schmidt. Yeah, and it's awesome. So those, and that is Christian wide, no matter what denomination. That is evangelization. of like truly reaching, and the Hallow app's another great example. But the internet's been good for Catholicism. There's no doubt. It is, particularly in America. And, things are going well.
And also, you don't have to be Catholic to use NFP.
Right.
I live in Madison, Wisconsin, where it's all the Catholic moms of 100, and then the weird hippie smoking pot secular ladies.
Yeah, that's every NFP office.
Oh, is it?
It's
Okay.
the naturalists, and it's the moms with a million kids. So Mormons don't believe in contraception, and I don't know if they have NFP or practice it or have a version of it or whatever. But I like my old neighbor. He was Baptist, and there were a lot of Mormons in the neighborhood. So he was like, people always ask me if I'm Catholic. Then they ask me if I'm Mormon. I'm like, Protestants can procreate too. I thought it was funny. I said, you should make a T-shirt. He's like, maybe I will.
We should do the next question.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Larry in New York, a psychologist spouse of one of our campaign volunteers, thought that the "you don't have to work here" signs would be a turnoff and antagonize workers that we are trying to bring out of the abortion industry. We want as many to come out of the abortion industry as possible, so we wanted to get an expert opinion on the wording of these signs. Are they effective in planting seeds for the conversion of abortion workers?
Well, you don't have to work here. Not only are signs we provide, but it's very similar to the signs that the abortion worker ministry itself provides. So I would say if it's coming from the former abortion workers themselves, then I think it's a pretty good sign.
It's planting the seed.
It's not like it's going to appeal. None of our signs are going to appeal to every single person.
Same with "you don't have to do this today."
Yeah.
Anything of doubt.
Yeah.
Anything that kind of slides in and says, wait a second. And of course, he's in New York. He's probably talking about, what's going to come across their mind is, I know, and I choose to work here, and I'm proud of it, And there's probably some of that, but not after a week or 2 weeks of seeing the sign, and you don't have to work here. And
follow that thought process. You don't have to work here. In a cynical worker may be like, no, I don't have to. I want to. And then they start thinking about, do I want to? Because I was just told to go in the back and POC lab and count body parts. And also I was sent in the back because I'm white, and they don't want people who are white in the front. They want people who are Hispanic or Black or another minority in the front so that they can appeal to more minorities. And so I'm not supposed to say anything. And also the morale is kind of low, even though I'm friends with some of the, it gets them thinking about it.
And it's true. They do have to work there. They couldn't get another job.
And some of them, that's what they say. They feel trapped.
They feel trapped. So it's accurate. We hear so many times, I just couldn't get on at quote, a real doctor's office, or I couldn't work, and then they were nice to me, and they, of course, in some cases overlooked my legal status, and, they treated me right, and I do feel like I have to work there. So no, the signs work.
I also think, I would say, I think we're all in agreement that they don't antagonize the workers. I would go a step further and say I can't conceive of a message that we would direct toward abortion workers that would be less antagonistic than this one.
That's a very good point, because what fuels your payroll?
Yeah.
There's a lot of, it could easily be a little cynical.
Sure, yeah.
So.
Because we know there is a pro-life presence in many places where the messages toward the abortion workers are like, hope you enjoy hell.
Yeah. And that's the nonsense we have to overcome.
All right. Question from Karen. I would like to know what happens with the babies who survive abortion. Do they receive medical care? Also, do they stay with the mother or get adopted?
No, they die.
A lot of times they survive. Well, yeah, sometimes they're killed out of the womb.
What state are we in?
Yeah.
That determines everything.
So if you look at the Kermit Gosnell case, that's what he was in prison for, in large part for killing babies after they were born alive. So they survived an abortion. But then you have, I don't know if it's up to 1,000. No, I think they said.
And his lawyer accurately said in his defense, he was just trying to finish the job he was hired to do.
Yes, exactly. I don't know the Abortion Survivors Network, Melissa Oden's network. I don't know how many. I think they have 800 or so people that have contacted them who found out with medical records or through testimony of their parent or something that they survived an abortion. But then the CDC says there's like a couple thousand or however many. What was the number? A couple thousand that survive an abortion every year on record?
So a few things. We've got a number of states that will track this data.
Oh,
data. I don't
Then
know
it's
if
the
Sean wants
states.
me to say it.
I want you to say it in the funny
Dieta.
way. Dieta.
Dieta.
Thank you. It makes,
Don't you know?
don't you know what? Yeah.
Florida tracks it. I think Arizona tracks it. And so they'll have a number of them each year. I think the specific information you're looking at is from Canada. And I want to say Quebec, but they'll track this number at the provincial level, and it is a large number. It's not you're counting them on your hands. It's a significant number. So they're looking at what happens in Canada, and then they're extrapolating. If there's this many in Canada, there's a lot more in the U.S., which has like 10 times the population or something like that of Canada. So there's a significant reason to believe. But I would say to Karen, this is the abortion industry's least favorite question. I mean, I would love to just ask any abortion supporter. Maybe they come to your door at campaign time. Hey, we need to protect women's choice. Sure, I'm all down for that. But what happens with the survivors? Their heads explode.
They'll say it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
But we know
they don't
Melissa
survive.
But we've had Claire Caldwell at
Right.
benefit dinner.
They're lying.
The your favorite guy, Tim Waltz.
I do love Tim Waltz.
Oh yeah. There was a lot of fun things that happened in the 2024 campaign. But, one thing that happened is one of my favorite Trumpisms, where he is trying to act like he is genuinely concerned about somebody. And like he did it with Biden. Something's very wrong. I'm kind of worried about that guy. Something's off. We need to talk to somebody. Like he's like trying to get the family together for an intervention.
Yeah.
Like he's so distraught and worried. And he did it with Waltz. And it was so great. He's like, that guy's not right. I'm worried about it. And like everybody, including Waltz's kids, are probably like, yeah, I agree with you. And so anyways, he quit tracking the babies who survived an abortion and were killed.
That's right.
Because when Kamala asked him to run, we and everybody came out and said, hey, in Minnesota, they document it because they're that stupid. And so they had 8 a year or something, right? That's what they averaged. Babies who survived an abortion and then were left to die. So he just quit keeping up with the stat.
Yep.
And that's actually what they should do if they're going to sort of hide their sins and say, pro-life propaganda. Nobody's suffocating on a table. Of course, the counter argument would really be entrapment, which is nobody survives an abortion. That'd be good for us, too.
We haven't even mentioned Governor Northam yet in this conversation, right?
I mentioned him a few minutes ago, didn't I?
But in response to this particular question?
No.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry, I mentioned him in the
Make him
previous
comfortable.
podcast.
yeah.
Yeah. Get him comfortable. He had the creepy voice. The Southern voice is so good. Unless you're a villain, then it's just the worst. And he was just like, I'm going to make the baby comfortable. Have a cigar. Watch that little man die. What?
Normally when you say, Steve, your favorite guy, I'm about to like, okay, what are we? But no, I do love Tim Walz.
Yeah.
I love Tim Walz.
He was absolutely...
I love Jim Gaffigan playing Tim Walz on SNL.
It was very similar to when Chris Farley played a drunk Senator Ted Kennedy. And they were talking about how political ads, it was Norm Macdonald, of course, like, political ads have really gotten like crazy. And they're like, they named like this lady and she wants to cut taxes for the big banks. And no wonder. She's a Jew. And like the word Jew like flashes on. And he's like, it's gotten even bad up in Massachusetts. And it's like Chris Farley and he's Ted Kennedy and he's drunk and he's like going around like hugging. And he's like grabbing women's rear ends and all this stuff.
Oh,
and they're like,
God.
Ted Kennedy, he's a big fat drunk. That was the end of the commercial. Oh, the good old days of Saturday Night Live.
If they were honest. All right, next question.
Let's go to Dominic, who says, the regulated medical waste trucks that picks up the aborted babies at Planned Parenthood. What is done with the aborted babies?
Well, we know what was done in 2014 and 2015. They were sold. So my understanding is that in most cases, we're not going to get down conspiracy land because ultimately we don't know. But we do know that some of these major medical waste companies are the ones that are processing the babies, and they're just being...
They're incinerating them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They burn them.
Stericycle is one of the big ones. I think that's probably the most common one we see reported from leaders is the Stericycle truck. But do you know what we noticed in Austin several years ago? And I've seen leaders say this too, that they are seeing unmarked vehicles. Fort Collins would tell me sometimes they see unmarked vehicles, but they know that it was the medical waste truck because they saw them.
So they're taking their brand off the trucks.
I don't know if Stericycle's taking their brand or if it's just other brands and they prefer not to have any sort of clarity on what their company is. I don't know.
And Gosnell openly said he burned them. He didn't even say cremate or anything. He just said, we burned the babies.
I can't remember where this location was, but there was one abortion facility, I think it's closed now, where they had an on-site incinerator. Creepy.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah, that's tough when you're giving the potential employee the tour. Okay, what's next?
Here's one from Melly. And she said she was having a conversation about abortion, and somebody asked her, well, but don't all babies go to heaven? So I guess suggesting abortion's good. You're just sending babies. It's the heaven factory.
Yeah.
And Melly said, I replied that Jews that died in the Holocaust probably also went to heaven, but it was still wrong to kill them, as it is with abortion. I wish I had said we pro-lifers also care about the mother and what she will suffer. Still, I'm not sure whether either of those answers were the correct answer.
They were a great answer, and that's exactly what I would have said is the Holocaust comment that she made. Also, I guess go talk to the families of victims of violent crimes and say, I know your daughter was stabbed in an alley.
Yeah.
And the guy's in jail. But, I mean, she's in heaven. Dry your eyes. Okay? So we don't act like that. This is the dehumanization of the unborn.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody would say that to the parents of a teen who was killed in a car accident. They wouldn't be like, your son's in heaven. Okay? You need to get over it. And all of a sudden, but it's the unborn. It's like, well, they're just all floating up there, having a good time.
But this is super twisted. I don't know if y'all have heard me say this before. Whole Woman's Health, who used to be in Austin and now they're not anymore, thank
Whoa,
Jesus.
Because of God and Heather.
Because of God and the Texas Human Life Protection Act. But they bragged about how they had a journal inside of their recovery room so that women could write in there, and if they wanted to, write a note or a letter to their baby. And there was a woman who had reported that she had written in there that she was glad her baby was in heaven. And this is while you're in the abortion facility. And this was good for Whole Woman's Health.
Yeah, but that mom's trying to justify her own abortion.
But that Whole Woman's Health would think that that's a good thing to publish in their blog. That's what's disturbing.
Yeah, I agree.
But they're admitting that it's a baby, so at least that's good. I don't know.
It's only a baby it's only a baby when it gets to heaven.
Sure.
I think this shows that even though we still are at a point in America where a majority of Americans consider themselves Christian, if you ask them, what do you actually believe? It doesn't really line up with Christianity. Like, now your baby turned into an angel. Now your baby turned into a star. Like, people just say stuff.
Yes. Yeah. All right.
Alrighty. Question from Veronica. She says, I want the podcast to explore how to get adoption highlighted in the pro-life arena. Statistically, less than 1% of surprise babies are placed for adoption, and I repeatedly hear planned adoptions misconstrued as foster care or even abandonment. Speaking as an older sister of 3 adoptees, this is hard to hear. My family is incredibly blessed to have maintained close ties with several biological family members who are active in my siblings' lives. I want people to understand that adoption isn't giving up, it's giving love in the most tangible sense.
It's a problem because there's 2 things going on. Number one, people don't want to give their baby up for adoption, so they choose abortion. We hear that a lot. You're really going to give your baby up for adoption, you know.
And that's in large part because of the success of the abortion industry still convincing people that adoption is worse than abortion.
Right. The other mythical thing is that nobody wants to adopt when it's the line out the door, right? To adopt.
Correct.
And
Well, nobody wants to adopt children with special needs or who aren't white. Actually, the line out the door for those
this
two.
is the line out the door for those two. It's so funny. The adoption racist thing is one of my favorite comical
Can't
things.
win.
No, I loved it with poor Amy Coney Barrett. She could go save, all the Haitians, and she's just even more of a racist. But so there's that. There's a line out the door. It doesn't matter your circumstances. There's more families who want to adopt than available babies, and then we're aborting all of the babies. And I don't look. Adoption has a stigma because of the process, and because the abortion industry has created a big stigma about it.
Yes.
But all you hear from these people and people like Barack Obama and Jack Nicholson and all the celebs that adoption is great, and they're very grateful for being adopted. And the same with Veronica. And yet, if you go through it, it's this positive, beautiful thing. It's totally available, but on the front end, it has this negative, oh, you don't want to get into that process. And even people do and go through it and get a baby. But the idea, the sign that didn't age well is you adopt them.
Yeah.
Because there's a line out the door to adopt a baby. We have a huge infertility crisis in our country, and yet we turn around and, we have 1 million abortions a year.
Yeah, I don't know if this is what Veronica's getting at. Maybe she is, maybe she isn't. But I'll answer a question that maybe isn't being asked here, but it's one I get often, which is, why isn't 40 Days for Life? Why aren't your sidewalk counselors? Why is adoption not mentioned more on the sidewalk? Mm-hmm. And there's a very simple reason for that, which is it's not the place. The sidewalk is the triage.
Yeah.
You are trying to get the woman. You're not going to make an adoption decision in a split second on the sidewalk. You're going to go to the pregnancy center where you are going to be given your full range of options, whether that's parenting, whether that's open adoption, closed adoption. And this is a decision where, depending on what point of the pregnancy, you've got 7-8 months to make a decision on that, but it wouldn't be appropriate to do out on the streets.
Correct. There's also there's an obstacle there. It is what it is. And that is, they don't want to be pregnant and they don't want to go through childbirth. Mm-hmm. And the abortion promises it ends today. In 1 hour, I'm done with all this. And the adoption sounds like a process, and is, both physically and mentally, for the mom. And it's a very hard sell. I think it's borderline impossible on the sidewalk. And we do mention adoption, and there's signs that say adoption, and it's
not your first thing you go to, and it's really a turnoff, quite frankly, in our experience. If the first thing out of your mouth is, you don't have to do this, you can adopt, and that's not the magic words that you think they're going to be to a woman in that crisis situation. There's
and we recently had the mom there this year choose life, and had her mom testify, she testified and said, I couldn't give you a car, I couldn't give you a home, but I can give you a family. And our leader adopted her.
Yes.
But yeah,
there's also a myth that that Black families do not adopt, which I've found more and more, especially working with a lot of ministries who are specifically trying to help educate the Black community about abortion, the disproportionate abortions in the community. But that adoption is actually very common in the Black community. It's just that it's kinship adoption, more so than anything, which is what a lot of them like to point out, that a lot of family members, one of my good friends who's in her 70s, adopted 4 children in her early 60s with her husband that were family that the kids were going to go into the foster system if they didn't. And so these are things that we just don't know very much about. It's not talked about very much. There's still this lingering stigma that there's unknown. Open adoption is still, even today, not something that's known about, and that people don't know that it's the most common type of adoption, that it's not going to be this closed adoption where they're going to go into this mysterious family that's probably going to be abusive. Those are myths that we're still having to bust through. There's also a group called Abiding Love Adoptions that shows up at a lot of the pro-life conferences, Heartbeat International, really great organization, and they focus more so on birth mothers and helping so pregnancy centers can connect moms who are considering adoption with them, and they will focus more on them rather than focusing on the adoptive family, because there's a lot of agencies out there that are primarily focused on assisting the family with that side of it. So it's something that we just have to talk about more, and it's also something that I think, like we said before with one of our last episodes where we talked about the children with disabilities. And we have to make sure that we're not romanticizing every aspect about this, because adoption is difficult.
The process is awful.
And it's a beautiful thing, and it is a gift. And also,
And they're giving gay
there's
couples
grieving. Yes.
kids.
Yes.
And that is child abuse. I mean, we are immediately denying a child a mother and a dad. And we think we're so great. And I know this is touchy because I know about the cases where the gay guys adopted them, raised the boy, but for the benefit of the doubt, I'm going to say that most gay couples don't want to do that. Okay. Or we don't have the data that's like the plan, that the gay guys want to adopt the kid so they can abuse him when he's old.
Right.
Then we're in a whole new mess. But the fact that there's a waiting list to adopt, and you have families with a mom and a dad, and you're going to give it to some gay couples because you're trying to push the homosexual agenda, I think is a crime.
Well, I've got some familiarity in Wisconsin with the adoption, like families in waiting registry, and it's great because you'll see the families that are placing a child for adoption, and you'd be surprised how many we want a family that has Christian heterosexual parents.
Really?
And like you can't tell them no, right? Like you'd think anywhere else that gets you canceled, right? But
Yeah.
when it comes to adoption, that's
interesting.
actually like a positive.
The families that are giving their child up for adoption, or the moms that are giving up for adoption, are saying, don't put my kid with two Hollywood gay guys.
Because you'll see if you take a look at like the registries, like here's all the families that are on this adoption agency's list that is waiting for a child, you may see a disproportionate number of homosexual couples, and some of that's because they're not getting picked, and so their numbers are growing. Whereas,
do those families? How much of a preference can you have, or can you have no preference?
It depends
on which end of this. If you're placing your child,
if you're giving your child up for adoption, how much
parent.
say do you have?
Complete.
You do. So you can go in there and
you can look.
Y'all vote for Trump?
Then you can interview. You can It's literally you have complete control. So we talk about waiting lists because there's a lot of couples that are waiting, but it's not like, hey, I waited 28 years to get my Packer tickets and I finally got them. It's you could get a child in 2 weeks or never.
Okay, I knew that the analogy somehow was going to be.
It has to.
Your waiting list to the Packers. Okay, that's kind of encouraging.
It's the same for the local agency here. I learned that actually when I was still working here, when I still lived here, that they said that the mom, unbeknownst to a lot of people, the mom actually goes through the photo album and she picks. We don't pick for her. She picks the family. So she asks, we have profiles on the family. She can meet with the family. She can decide whether it's an open adoption, a semi-open adoption, or a closed adoption.
And I'm assuming, okay, there's a background check.
Yeah. Oh,
there's
of course.
A criminal record run of
yes.
like relatives.
Yes.
But yeah.
We don't do that to procreate, but we do that to adopt.
Right.
Which is also controversial.
I think it's good. Like if you're getting someone else's child, there should be. I don't mind. That people have to jump through some hoops.
Yeah.
Some of them I think are dumb hoops, but it's my understanding is that historically there were some serious injustices committed against birth mothers.
For sure.
And from what I know, which is pretty extensive.
What does that mean?
Like they're being pressured to place their child, or they're giving up their child under false pretenses or things like that.
Wow.
They're doing this to save, or sometimes there's trying to do this to save their child from a life of abuse, and then they're just being discarded rather than, wait a minute, this mother's being abused. We need to do something to also help her. Like, I mean, there's a lot of situations.
Okay.
And, somebody could write in and be like, well, I know of all these cases. I would say the process right now is extremely supportive of the birth families. Like, I think in Wisconsin, I don't know if it's everywhere, but at least in Wisconsin, I think like there's lifetime free counseling for the families that place their child for adoption. There's tremendous resources available for those families.
And there's also the leeway time of after the baby is born that they have a certain amount of time to change their mind, which I think is good.
It's always tough because
It's tough though.
If you spend a lot of time in Christian and pro-life circles, you meet the couples who they had the baby for 3 weeks and then the birth mom changed their mind. And like on one hand, like I agree for those families, especially if they don't have any children.
Yes.
Like I agree for those families, but objectively, I think like the baby going home with the birth mom is probably the best object. Like, okay, there's exceptions. What about this? What about that? But in general, I'm painting with a broad brush here. I think that is a good outcome.
It is, but it is absolutely rips the heart out of the family that we have friends that's happened to them twice. They have, I think, 5 total adopted children. But yeah, it's a mom wanting to raise her child is the best scenario. So okay. 2 more questions.
Yeah, you tell me when to stop.
No, this is good. Let's finish it.
This is Carolyn, and she said, I trimmed this down a little bit. I think Carolyn's fired up here. We'll say that. I would like to know how Catholic colleges and universities sell out to the abortion movement.
Hey!
My alma mater is honoring an active participant in the abortion industry.
We want the label of Catholicism or Christianity without the responsibility.
I'm going to go Jesuits for $400.
Ooh,
hey,
okay.
Fun. They totally sold out. St. Ignatius had come back and just beat the crap out of those guys. They're having a little bit of a turnaround. In all fairness, there's some good Jesuits in
that's what I was going to say.
Louisiana, and of course, Father Mitch Pacwa, he's holding down the fort. There's a couple of, but he's it. So yeah, I guess this is a big Notre Dame thing too. It's funny because my Domer friends are like, you can find pockets of Catholicism. I'm like, it's the University of Our Lady. It's Notre Dame. Pockets?
When you're taking down crucifixes in the walls of the hallways.
Well, that happened in Georgetown. And the Muslims made them put the crucifixes back up.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they saw Jesus as a prophet and that he died on the cross.
Okay.
But so, right in. Look, that ship has sailed.
It's money driven too.
I guess it's money driven, but some of these schools, Notre Dame is, but I mean, some of these schools, just totally sold out, and they were run by orders that no longer have vocations, and it's sort of market driven, and they're weeding themselves out. There's no excuse now. We have great Catholic colleges and universities that you can go to. You can go to Steubenville. You can go to Belmont Abbey. You can go to Ave Maria. You can go to Benedictine. You can go to all these places, St. Thomas Aquinas out in California. So there's just, Xavier. Maybe they have a good MBA program or something, but you need to look at it as like a secular Loyola.
I've got a buddy, his name is Joe. You'll remember Joe because Joe's the guy who came up to you at my mom's funeral and said, hey, are you the Sex Robot podcast guy?
No.
It's one of the best things anybody's ever said to me.
He works at a Catholic university. He's like a scientist, like physics or something like that. He's doing research that's applied for the military, I think. But it never.
He's like a genius, and he's using the word sex robot.
But he's on the payroll for a Catholic university that's not Catholic at all, and so he routinely forwards me the emails that they get, so like their Pride Month emails, like. In our Catholic and Marianist tradition, we are celebrating the like. Wait, you just like just because you say you're Marianist doesn't make inclusion. Like where is inclusion? Okay, I don't know. You the sex robot guy?
That was so. And I said yes.
Yeah,
it was the follow up. It was the truth. Don't send your blood pressure up over it. Just dust your feet off and move on.
Yeah,
they're a disgrace, and they did sell out. So there's no other word. It's just part of the deal.
We can wrap here. We got a couple of abortion pill questions. John in Washington State says, actually not just pill. Considering that there are millions of women throughout the past 50 plus years who have experienced physical, emotional, and or mental adverse effects from having had an abortion, in addition, they would almost certainly tell their female relatives and friends, how is it that there are still more than 1 million abortions per year in the U.S.? Where are these women coming from?
I think we already answered that. And we don't know, and we don't know that it's 1 million or more.
Yeah, and it's also, I think, comes back to something else you said in response to another question, which is you've got a problem and the abortion industry tells you we can solve it in an hour.
Right. Exactly.
All right. This is Michael from New Jersey. I don't know if there's a specific question here, but he had something he wanted to share for this podcast. He said, when he was first licensed as a pharmacist over 35 years ago, a new drug came on the market. It was a breakthrough medicine for patients who had to take high doses of arthritis medications. It offered protection for the GI tract. Anyway, the drug was misoprostol, which is the second pill of the abortion pill regimen. It carried a severe warning, now known as a black box warning, to pregnant women that its usage was known to cause miscarriage and was contraindicated in women of childbearing years. I suspected immediately and still believe to this day that the company used the drug approval process to get misoprostol backdoored in, thereby letting some physicians use it off-label to induce miscarriage or even use it as an abortifacient. I don't know if that's true or not, but
I have never heard that before, and I really appreciate Michael sending that in, because to me that makes absolute perfect sense.
Yeah.
it also jives with, we did the podcast on the background of the inventor of the abortion pill, where he openly stated that he promoted the research and development on the abortion pill, mifepristone, as this was for burns and trauma and legitimate purposes, but the whole while he knew that the primary use would be for abortion.
Also, Michael being a pharmacist, he's familiarity with how the drugs get approved and is this backdoor, is this the real intent? But it's smart. This is for arthritis patients, and then they use it for 10 years as that, and then when they come along and say we need chemical abortions, well, you already approved this. That would be, part
This
of
is
the
where it was interesting, because when Roe was overturned in my state, we had over a year without abortion. And why would they comply with the law when they had pro-abortion attorney general and governor and et cetera, so on and so forth? I think it was the insurance companies that were enforcing our prohibition on abortion, because we know of someone who was a nurse and got a call from the insurance company, the malpractice coverage, saying, hey, we see you're prescribing misoprostol. Like, yes, we're a nursing home. This is for women with women and perhaps men, I think. I don't remember if it's specific, but this is for arthritis patients. And the fact that it was a nursing home kind of gave them quite a bit of credibility that they were not doing abortions at the nursing home.
Wow.
But that was kind of a fascinating.
The insurance companies didn't want the liability.
Yeah.
It is going to be interesting, this battle between insurance companies and big pharma, which is a constant thing. But I don't know. It's these were great questions. Please write in if
Thank you, everyone.
I know. Thank you. We can do another one. We haven't done one of these in a while, but you can email us your questions at podcast@40daysforlife.com, podcast@40daysforlife.com. Do you have any follow-up questions?
No follow-up.
Okay. You look like you had something to say.
No.
Please rate, review, and share this podcast. And be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the little bell so that you get the notifications. And we will see you next time. God bless you.